let's go back to Peter Mathews. And Peter, Florida this week to require people blogging about Governor DeSantis. This is really interesting. They've asked people to register. What do you make of all of that?
I think it's a very dangerous precedent because if it does go through, because it's a violation of the First Amendment right to freedom of the press. And so bloggers have to register if they get paid by someone else to blog a story about the governor, or about the state legislators, or the cabinet. That'll have a chilling effect on free speech and on freedom of ideas, marketplace of ideas. We all believe in democracy. We have to have a wide diversity of ideas put out there without infringement by the government. In this case, the government will be suppressing these ideas, and it's not right. So I think that they should hold off. I don't think it'll pass. Let's see. It won't be constitutional. If the courts get it, they'll throw it out.
President Biden has given his support to a railway safety reform bill after the Ohio derailment. What do you think?
Yes, well, it's a long time coming. It's a total tragedy this even happened, and the poor folks down there in Ohio are really suffering with chemical poisoning and all kinds of things, the air, the water, or the soil. This should never have happened. I mean, we have 1,000 train derailments a year, Tim. That's unbelievable. The United States has to update its rail system. It needs to move to high-speed rail, good public transportation of the goods and services. It's a big transport company, the railroads are, and we have to make sure they're totally safe. And I think the Biden bill is going to help out. The support of that bill that's coming up to be signed by him if it will pass by Congress, I think it will be bipartisan support. And it'll bring in safer and newer rail cars. The newer braking systems are outdated right now. The newer systems of braking will be brought in. All of that would help, definitely.
Rick Scott has added to his criticism of Mitch McConnell. Do you see him as a future Senate leader?
I don't think so, because Rick Scott presided over the debacle of losing the Senate, of not maintaining the Senate or taking it back this time around. Democrats actually gained one seat under Scott's leadership of the campaign. And besides that, I think that there's too much acrimony between Scott and the other wing of the party led by McConnell, and they're criticizing each other. I don't think that Scott has enough support because of that. And it's about committee assignments and things like that. He's accusing McConnell of taking him off a committee assignment in revenge for him running as for a minority leader position. Well, that kind of thing doesn't bode well for public presentations, and I don't think he'll have a chance to really become a strong leader in the Senate at this point.
What about some of the foreign policy of the government? Of course, inflation's a problem, interest rates are a problem. Is there bipartisan support in the support of Ukraine, another $400 million worth of infrastructure and weapons heading towards Ukraine from the US?
It's been a lot of money. I mean, $25 billion already in direct military aid, and then on top of that, more billions in other kinds of humanitarian aid. So there is a concern on the part of one faction, particularly, or there's in the party, Republican Party especially, a group of people in the Republican Party who are saying, when is enough of spending enough? And yet the Democrats are pretty solidly behind increasing spending and making sure that Ukraine can win this battle. I think they need to all negotiate, get down to the table, use China's plan for peace, and work on that to end this war, because otherwise it'll be a bottomless pit. And more thousands of Ukrainians will die, and other people will suffer around the world with a lack of food shortages that are being cut back because of the war. So I think it's time to move forward and try to bring an end to this war. Peaceful end and a just end as well.
That would be wonderful if that could happen sooner rather than later. Now, just finally, from your angle in politics, and you work in it and talk about it every day, do you think that the infighting of the Republican Party and the obvious cracks in it just play straight into the Democrats' hands here, heading into 2024?
It certainly will give the Democrats an upper hand, but I like to see two strong, viable parties, at least in a democracy. Some countries have several parties, but a two-party system that we've had from the beginning of our country's history, it's been viable because it's always alternative to one party that's in power can be replaced by another party, at least temporarily, to bring in new policies. That gives voters a choice, and choice is so important in democracy. And clear alternatives that both parties present, clearly alternatives that which they differ from each other. That's good for the voters to be able to choose and hold them accountable. We need to have two strong parties, and it's not good to see the Republican Party falling apart like this. It certainly will help the Democrats win, but it won't be good for American democracy overall.
Peter, it is always great to chat. Let's do it again next week.
Okay, thank you, Tim.